Welcome back to Shah Travels. In this one we are heading down to Wilsons Prom. Located around 3 hours southeast of Melbourne, Wilsons Prom is an amazing place to spend a few days exploring the beaches, Tidal River, hiking and camping. Tom and I had been to Wilsons Prom twice before, and those times we had done the overnight hike out to Refuge Cove and Sealers Cove. Unfortunately that's now closed due to problems with the track. This time we were bringing the caravan and we were camping in the Tidal River campground for 3 nights. We were some of the lucky few that managed to get a booking during the Victorian government's free camping scheme, and we were also some of the few people who decided to actually use our booking. At the time of booking there were only a handful of campsites left, and so we stayed near the Tidal block on 6th Avenue. This turned out to actually be a really good spot. It was a very short walk to get down to Tidal River, and the campsite itself was pretty good. It was 7 meters by 11 meters. Now that meant it was really wide and we could have the awning out and the car park next to us. Our caravan's 6 meters long, so we were just short of the road, but there was still plenty of room for cars to get past us. On our first morning at Tidal River, we decided to do the Luan boardwalk. An easy, pram-friendly walk, it's not very far. Takes you down to Tidal River in a bit of a loop. We walked down to the bridge here, but unfortunately it was closed. We took a few pictures and then we decided to walk down to the beach and have a bit of a walk around the campsite and just get our bearings as to where everything is. Because we had rolled in late the night before, we got in the dark, and so we wanted to see where the visitor centre was and everything else. We walked down to the beach and it was a bit windy and wild. We headed back to camp and we started getting introduced to all the different wildlife that they have in the Tidal River campground, all of which are very friendly. That afternoon the weather wasn't too bad, so we decided to head down to Tidal River. We were here in early December and the weather was a bit of a mixed bag, warm enough in the sun but a bit of rain and quite windy. There were lots of these little crabs on the beach which we dug up and then sat and watched as they buried themselves again quickly in the sand. Tidal River is a really family friendly spot. If you've got young children it's great, it's really quite shallow. The water's lovely and clear, it doesn't have too much of a current. There are some spots that are a little bit deeper for jumping off the rocks and having a proper swim. We then decided it was time to walk to the visitor centre, get an ice cream and then carry on doing the boardwalk that we had started doing this morning. You can see here Mount Oberon, which is in the distance covered in cloud. When Tom and I had been here the very first time, we hiked up to the top. I think it was around about a 6-kilometer hike, and there we witnessed the best sunset that we have ever seen. If you're going to Wilsons Prom, make sure that you do the hike up there for sunset. It is amazing. Back at camp we had more visits from the local wildlife. This photo here shows quite a nice sunset, but it also shows you the empty campsites. There were about 3 that were in front of us that were all empty, the ones to the side, the ones diagonally. When we drove in it said the campground was fully booked, however there were plenty of sites that were free. The next day we headed down to Squeaky Beach, which is probably about a 10-15 minute drive from Tidal River campground. Squeaky Beach is so named because when you walk on the sand and kind of scuff it with your feet, the sand is so pure that it squeaks. There are some huge boulders here on the beach covered in, I guess there's some sort of lichen that makes them quite red. There's lots of little nooks and crannies that you can run through, get some nice pictures, a nice place to explore with the kids. After a cloudy and wet morning, went back to camp and it was nice and sunny, so we cracked out the solar panel. We then decided to do the boardwalk again just for something to do, and then we went down to Tidal River to have a bit more of a play in the water. The other thing that we loved about Tidal River is that it is a huge space. Even if the campground was fully booked and there were people there visiting for the day, there is so much room there. There's the beach at the end, and then there's Tidal River running through, and there's so many different places where you can set yourself up depending on where the sun is or what the wind's doing. Plenty of places to spread out and have a fun day. That evening we got a visit from a couple of friendly wombats. Now I was thinking, oh look, they're so cute, coming over, saying hi. Next thing you know, this wombat is trying to get into the chair, get into the high chair. It would not go away. I thought if I went and stood next to it, it would run off. Nope, even giving it a gentle shove, it just did not care. It was not going anywhere. It was looking for food. There's also this one here that was scratching its bum on the water tank under the caravan. It looked a little bit mangy. I don't know if it is actually mange, but it was looking a little bit worse for wear. There were also some huge possums getting around as well, chasing off the wombats, which was quite funny. Once the kids were in bed, I walked down to Tidal River to get a few more pictures and a couple of pictures of the night sky as well. Back at camp, it was wombat versus possum going on all night. I couldn't believe the racket that they were making. Fair warning, if you leave any sort of bin or packet or anything out, a bag, the wombats and the possums will get into it, and they are not scared of people at all. You will literally have to move them along gently and firmly as you can. The next morning it was time to pack up and head back to Melbourne. We absolutely loved our time at Wilsons Prom and will definitely be back there. If you've liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.